Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to Wild Werewolf. Are you ready to embark on a wild and thrilling journey into the world of werewolves? Here, we'll explore the untamed nature, the raw power, and the captivating stories of these mythical creatures. So, get comfortable and let's unleash the wildness together. Chapter 36, Can't Fight the Moonlight. Sam, after that second date last month, I had some serious thinking to do. And I did thought about it. A lot. Of course, it's crazy. Soulmate. A werewolf. Are you freaking kidding me? This is not what I thought it was on the cards for me at Rutherford Falls. Or anywhere in the world. Let's be honest. However, you can't fault his honesty and country boy charm. And of course, you can't beat the view. There was a moment when he was stripping that I was wondering if it was some sort of maneuver to get with me. I did enjoy the view. Like I always do. But I never expected him to actually prove it to me. It's crazy. A werewolf. Come on. I barely had time to digest that when the next day my dad rushes out of home claiming there was a massive animal attack in the outskirts of the city. That was crazy too. It was even in the local news. More than one wolf's dead. I texted him immediately and he told me what happened when he called me not soon after. It was heartbreaking news. I didn't see him for a week after that, but I could never stop thinking about him. At school, what I didn't see his smile greeting me in the morning. At lunch when I sat alone every day. Or even at home. So when he returned to school the week after, I was glad to see him, even if his smile was weak. And we've been talking and texting every day. It's been a nice break from the crap I had to take at school sometimes. Especially about the bathroom situation. Which brings us to today. During the school lunch break, he kissed me out of the blue. I mean, he asked me first like the gentleman that he is. But that was hot. Honestly, as much as I wanted to disregard the crazy goddess theory, I can't refute the fact that he's been on my mind ever since I met him 2 months ago. And don't get me started on the dreams I've been having with him. I'm not one to admire adult entertainment that much. I'm not a saint either. But these dreams, damn. I could be teaching the studio people a thing or to learn how to treat a girl like me. And now I have a date with him to meet his family. Like, of course. That's so thoughtful of him. Most boys wouldn't take me to them all together. But not only he isn't ashamed of me, he's also not afraid to introduce me to his family. Granted, his situation is different from other teens. But still, swoon. Basically, I've been swooning from Monday till the time our date arrives. Friday. We are having lunch and I still can't grasp the fact that John's best friend is potentially meeting his mate on Sunday. His birthday. So, Paul, what are you going to do on your birthday? Are you going to walk the entire land sniffing out your soulmate? I asked him, and they all laughed. That's not actually a bad idea. No, my mom is gonna bake a cake and we're gonna eat it. I mean, my little brother and DMM. It's just a small celebration. He told me, smiling. And are you excited to meet her? Excited. He hasn't shut up about it for like a month. I think I'm gonna hide my sister from him till he finds his damn mate. EMM snickered. Everyone laughed but John. You come near her. I dare you. John threatened. He was not joking as his look could kill. Bro, you can't hide my mate from me forever. I'm gonna find her eventually at school. He replied with a joking tone, ignoring John's threat. Don't even joke. Guys, I'd rather Paul be mated to John. Rosalind joked. He can't be my mate. I'm too old for him. Like, he started but trailed off. And even I had a feeling what he was gonna say. Rosalind spoke. John was glaring at Paul even worse than before. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up. I'm sorry. Rosalind. John, he said with sincere tone. Don't worry. Call. We're used to. But you're still not gonna be my mate. I may even swing by your house on Sunday to prove it to you. Rosalind told him. He was very excited at the prospect. I'll save you some cake. Maybe we can complete the bond after you. Paul snickered but got interrupted. John slammed his hand against the table. It startled everyone, especially Rosalind. He's fuming, he's so angry. I've never seen him like this, though I don't know any of them that well. John, calm down. He's joking. Rosalind turned to his side and placed her hands on his face. Just at our touch, he calmed down immediately. It's incredible to witness. Paul, if you don't stop joking about my sister, you're not gonna live to 18. Teased him. He got startled by John. What's complete the bond? I asked after a moment. Oh fuck. Thanks. Paul. Blurted, glaring at his best friend. Wait. You didn't tell her about the bond? Rosalind asked him. Gobsmacked. They all were. We haven't had many chance to talk since our second date. I was gonna tell her tomorrow. He explained, staring at everyone. Can we table this till tomorrow? Please. I promise you I'll tell you all about it. He asked me with a pleading look. Yes, of course. I replied. It sounds like something serious. Of course. Now I'm more curious than ever. Not long after, we're back in class. It's Saturday. 15 minutes early from the time we set. Shows up at my house. I let him and introduce him to my family, who fortunately were all present. So, Mr. Huntington, what do you want with my Sam? Dad asked and I gasped at him. I want to make her happy. Sir, if I'm allowed. He replied. My sister was already smitten by him. You do know? Yes, sir. I'm aware. He replied without letting my dad finish the sentence. So you're gay? Dad asked and I yelled at him. This is so embarrassing. No, sir. I'm not. I'm straight. He replied. Calmly. Then, what did you see? Her smile. Her confidence. Her beauty. Her presence. Her smart. Her ability to not let anyone and anything get her down in face of incredible odds. He stated and I swooned. Fuck. Even my mom was swooning. Damn. He's good. My dad shut up after that. He silenced my dad. This boy impresses me more with each coming day. Fuck. I'm in so much trouble. He's driving me to his place and I'm in awe. I just stare at him from my seat. Did you rehearse that line you said to my dad or? No, I spoke from the heart. As always, I wish I was smart enough for that. That's Spidey. My faded mate. Lights flashed around me and my wheels spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. He answered, looking ahead. That was incredible. You amaze me every day. I swooned. Thank you. Remember what I said, the mate makes you better. That's all you. Your influence on me. He replied, sounding sincere. Okay, come on. How can he know the perfect thing to say every time that not even I had imagined? However, I do have a little confession to make, and you're not gonna like it. He announced it and I gasped. I knew this was too good to be truth. That's Spidey, my faded mate. Lights flashed around me and my wheels spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. Are there any more bombs you're going to drop on me? I was dreading in fear. I didn't know what to expect. Honestly, remember on our second date, when I said I wanted you to want me to see you? That's true, but I did saw you in the locker room too. I mean, it wasn't just you who saw me. He admitted it, sheepishly. I could tell he was embarrassed to say it. I sighed in relief. Good. At least, now I know you're not perfect. I mean, I could be mad about it, but I would be a hypocrite. Did you like what you saw? I asked, which made him gasp. I did not expect that question. To be honest, he was gobsmacked. This is the most red I've seen him so far. I stared at him. Expectantly, I will say this is a unique situation. I can't lie, but I like your body, mostly because I see you with the eyes of the heart. He replied, shyly. I swooned. To be honest, I never expected him not to have seen me naked. It's natural to be curious. At least, for one you're interested in dating. We arrived and I marveled at the massive walled land. There is only one gate, in or out. He signaled at the guards and entered the compound. He parked at the garage space not far from the entrance. We get off the car and walked into the territory. It was a huge space. There was a makeshift gym outdoors, which I guess is where he trains. and probably Paul and John because they looked tripped just like him. There were lots of beautiful houses. We walked forever with him showing and telling me about it all. We even passed by Paul and John's houses, not to mention Sarah and George's. Finally, we arrived at a massive house that looked more like a mansion. When we enter, we are greeted by his dads, who looked sharp for the evening. They showed me around and told me a little about its history. How it was built 120 years ago when his dad's family started the pack here. Soon, I see his sister and boyfriend too. They're at the playroom, but it didn't seem like they're playing anything, if you catch my drift. The house was massive and still I haven't seen the half of it. But they showed me the main parts. Except the wing of the house where they sleep. Not that I expected them to. Samantha, welcome to the pack house. I have ordered a vegetarian meal specially for you. His daddy told me, smiling. Thank you, Mr. Ford. I appreciate it, I said as I took my seat next to him. He wasn't kidding about the table being so large. But I see some empty seats. Probably because of the attack. Please, call me Felix, he replied with a smile. His husband at his side looked a little banged up. But I totally see the resemblance between him and DMM. How did you like our little slice of heaven? His dad asked me. It's fantastic. So many houses. When EMM told me he lived with the people, I gasped. But he wasn't kidding. I replied in awe. It's less people now. On the account of. He trailed off. But it is great. Mr. Huntington. You should be proud. I replied with a smile. Please. Call me Alpha. No, I'm kidding. Call me Daniel. He smirked. I laughed. If I may. Felix, you did a fantastic job raising EMM. He's an amazing boy. He just faced my dad with such confidence. Such poise. You'd think he's an ambassador or something. I mean, congratulations to the both of you. I was admired. And as I spoke, and it opened the biggest smile I've ever seen so far on him. Thank you, Sam. You know that my dad was also the chief of police, so I take your meaning very well. He replied with a smile. Damn. Brother, your mate is killing. I wish my mate can speak as well as her whenever I meet him. Rosalind complimented me and was beaming with joy. His smile was so wide you'd think he'd distend a muscle. Don't worry, Rosalind. There's always tomorrow. I joked. John didn't like it. I'm just kidding. John, don't hit me. That's Spidey. My hated mate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. Did John hit anyone? Felix shouted, looking at him angrily. No, Uncle. I didn't hit anyone. Also, I would never hit a girl. He spoke, glaring daggers at me. No, Daddy. She's just joking cause tomorrow is Paul's birthday and he dreams about being my mate for years. He joked yesterday about it. John didn't like and slammed the table. That's it. Rosalind explained. Felix was not happy. Tomorrow is Paul's birthday. How cool. Are you going over there? His dad asked. Yes, I will. Dad's mom is baking a cake. Afterwards, they're taking some to his dad's. He trailed off. I understand. Please wish him a happy birthday for me. I respected his father a great deal and his losses mourned like the rest of our fallen heroes. His dad stated. There was a silence for a while. We continued eating. So, Daniel, is it really true you were straight until you got mated to a guy? I asked him. He gasped a little. Felix laughed. Yes, it is true. I dated a woman until I started dreaming about Felix and it's all been downhill from there. He said as he kisses Felix on the cheek. Adorable. However, I don't believe she would pair a straight person with the same sex. It's not a punishment or anything like that. If I were human, I'd probably have a wife and kids, but at some point I'd realize I was gay or at least bi. And maybe even leave my wife and marry a guy. But because I'm a werewolf, the goddess saw my true nature and paired me accordingly. It's never random. Just like you and my son. She paired you with him for the woman you are inside and eventually will be outside. Not the girl you are now. He stated. I gasped. That actually made sense. I just can't believe you can be mated to anyone of any gender. That's crazy to me, I observed, still shook. I know. Tell me about it. But you are straight. Right. He asked me. I gasped again. I am. Yes, very much so. But I just meant. I understood. Sam, I agree with you too. It is crazy. My daughter can still have a girl mate. He joked. Rosalind didn't like it. Dad, that's not happening. Chill. She reprimanded him. So, what is this mate bond I hear so much about? You didn't tell her about the bond. Daniel asked TMM, sounding surprised. I didn't have time. Between knowing she's my mate, showing her my wolf and the attack, there wasn't enough time. IMN defended himself. He didn't even tell her about completing the bond. John snickered. Thanks. John, I'll take my sister to Paul's house tomorrow. He jabbed. John's face crack was epic. You do realize if she's Paul's mate, she'll ascend. Right. Have at it. I can't wait to be beta. John rebuked, looking annoyed. What? How is that possible if EMM already found his mate? Felix gasped. Except he didn't. Technically, if Rosalind gets mated to Paul tomorrow, she'd be mated first. So she'd ascend. Daniel explained. Everybody gasped. I thought the ascension race was over by now. Felix yelled. It is. But we can't argue against a black eye. You, of all people, know it's only your mate when your eyes are black. Daniel stated, looking at his mate. It's confusing to me too. Felix. So I get it. I also thought Rosalind couldn't ascend anymore. I chimed in. Don't worry, guys. I seriously doubt Paul is my mate. I'm positive I'd know about it if he were. Rosalind admitted, sounding defeated. Wait, you didn't tell her about competing the bond. Felix gasped after a while. Excuse me, Daddy, for being a gentleman. We didn't get that far ahead. No, he rebuked, looking annoyed. Sam, the bond is the link between two mates. Basically, it connects your emotions together. It makes you feel what the other is feeling. You know, Daniel told me. I understand. Daniel, there's such mystery about it, I thought. The mystery comes from completing the bond, Sam. Dad, I'll leave to my son to explain it to you, he replied, sounding ominous. Okay, word. Later, AMM took me for a walk outside the house. See, tonight is the full moon. Normally, we'd have a massive party with every member of the pack in honor of the moon goddess. But because of the attack, with my aunt and uncle in the hospital, Dad canceled it out of respect for them. I get it. There were a lot of losses. I see his face turning sad. So I turn it out. Aren't you gonna tell me about completing the bond? Right. The bond, as you know, is the link between soulmates. When you find your mate at 18, you scent them, hug them, sometimes kiss them, and then you complete the bond, which is the equivalent of a marriage between wolves. He explained. Married Spidey, my fated mate. Lights flashed around me and I really spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I looked at him surprised. You see, once you complete the bond, you can't reject your mate anymore. It's forever so. The mate's in question. He trailed off. I could see where this is going. Have sex. Is that it? Yes, it is. Except once you complete the bond. You bite your mate in the neck to leave a mark. That's called the mate mark, he replied. You said you wouldn't bite me. I yelled in shock. This is different. And it only happens once. But it doesn't turn you into a werewolf. Nothing can. He stated. He was adorable when he got flustered. So, do you want to complete the bond tonight? We can't. 'Cause I'm not 18 yet and... I just stared at him till he realized what I was saying. His reaction was adorable. Chapter 37, I think we were alone now, haven't you guys heard that too? Right. My maid asking if I wanted to. Yes, I replied loudly, once I realized what she had proposed. Can we go to your room? She asked, looking at me with her gorgeous eyes. I don't know, but we can certainly try, I said, not knowing if we could get away with it. We went back inside the house and quietly sneaked into my room. Thankfully, neither one of my parents were in our way inside. I also didn't see Ross, but she's probably in the playroom with John. I'm sorry it's not much, but the house was built for numbers, not comfort, I said as I closed the door of my bedroom. That's okay. My room isn't much better than this one, she replied. Humbly, can I get you a water or something? I offered her, nervously. Water is good. Also, do you have? Yes, I do. I mean, in case you need it. I told her, a little flustered. Oh, I definitely need it. She snickered. I got her the water and also grabbed a bottle for me too. Can we start by kissing? If that's okay. I asked her, shyly. That's perfect. She grinned. And so we kiss. Passionately. I confess I wasn't expecting for this to happen tonight. Not in the least. But of course, I have to be prepared. I needed to have the lube ready. In case I needed it. As they say, hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. Either way, I was prepared. Can I put my hands here? I asked her as I touched her leg. Yes, we continued kissing. I feel her leg a little but don't go up much. Can I take off my clothes? I asked. Knowing this was the easy part. If you want to. I'm not opposed to the idea. She snickered and I left. After a moment, I took everything off except for my underwear. Can I remove yours? Or is it something you have to do it? I wondered. No, you can if you want. She smiled softly. I carefully remove her blouse, her shirt, and then I kiss her some more. I kiss her neck, her ears. Is it okay to remove the bra? Yes, it is. But I can do it. She replied and removed her bra. It had some sort of fillers to give the idea of a breast. I kissed her chest, her neck and up to her mouth. She seemed to like it. Is it okay to take the skirt off? I asked her gently. Yes, it is. She replied, sheepishly. So I take her skirt off carefully. I see that the bulge on her underwear is similar to a girl. So I say to her, I'm sorry to ask. But aren't you uncomfortable? How do you want to handle that? I spoke, looking at her beautiful underwear. A little uncomfortable. But I'm used to it. I don't want you to touch it for now. Is that okay? She asked and I said it was perfectly fine. She asked me to turn around so she untucks, which I did. After she was naked, I kissed her all over except for what she didn't want me. Of course, she isn't who I'd expect for my mate. I can't be a hypocrite. And yes, I do like girl body parts just as much as the next straight guy. But like I said, I am seeing her with the eyes of the heart. I'm looking at her for what she is inside. For the girl she is, regardless of her body. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. After a while of kissing and licking her, she turned herself over and got on top of me. I guessed. Now it's my turn. She stated and I can smell the lust from her. She removed my underwear. She had to kiss me, from lips to my chest, going down to my navel. It was amazing. I was flying high already. But then, she took me to her mouth and I was in heaven. Damn, she's good at it. She went from the base to the tip of the head with her tongue. It's so good I nearly came. I shut my eyes not to freak her out with my pitch black eyes. She went at it for a good time. It's fantastic. Then, are you good to go for the next phase? She asked me with a cheeky smile. I'm excellent. I shouted, grinning wide. I got the lube from my nightstand and applied it myself. But she asked me instead, do you have a condom? Yes, I do. Give me a second. I spoke and grabbed a condom. I put it on myself and applied lube on it. I also applied some on our entrance as she turned her back to me. I approached her carefully with my throbbing member and gently penetrated her, but not before asking, is this okay? She said yes. I entered her as gently as I possibly could, and then I stayed inside her for a second. I asked if it was okay. She replied it was. Just a little uncomfortable. I asked if I should stop. She said no. After a moment, I started thrusting, gently and slowly so to not hurt her in any way. As I got some frequency into it, she started to moan, and the more pleasure she felt, I sensed it and felt it too. It was awesome. As she got accustomed to me, I went a little harder. Not too much. Just a little. She gasped. She moaned louder. I went harder. I thrust and thrust till I couldn't anymore. I could see she was very, very hard. I asked her if there's anything else I could do for her. But she said no. She was great and could finish her off. So I thrust some more. I kissed her shoulders and her neck from behind and it made her skin shake. And with one more thrust I came. Hard. It was the best feeling in the world. Making love to your mate. It's not what I may have expected, but it was far better than any dream I had. Matt Spidey, my fated mate. Lights flashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. Much better. She also came profusely. Afterwards, we wrapped ourselves in towels and I took her to have a shower with me. It was great all around. I still had in me to go again, but I had to return her home. I can't wait to have her all to myself. If I can. I think I love her already. After we got dressed and I took her back to her house. I had the best sleep once I was back in my bed. In this very moment, I am the happiest I've ever been in my life. The next morning, at breakfast, Rosal Ann and my dads were giving me side-eye glances. So, how was the date? Brother, it must have been good cause the smell infected my room. Rosal Ann snickered, grimacing. Sweetie, the stench infected all of our rooms. I had to hold my breath a little so I don't puke. Dad stated, making everyone's cowl. It was the best damn date I'd ever been to. If you must know, you're in for a treat. Little sister, once you ditch the incest. I snickered. John glared at me. Thanks, but it can't be incest if we're not actually related. Brother, I hope she gives up New York for you. Rosalind shot back. I grimaced. Such double standards. Why does he get to have a girl in his room? Is it because he's a guy? John winned. Looking at my dads furiously. It's worth noting that even though John and Matt are living inside the pack house with us for more than a month, he's still not allowed in Rosalind's room nor to leave the compound with her alone together. The rules remain the same, despite their current situation. And Daddy never wavered in his watchful eyes on them, especially now that they both lived here. For one, neither of them are at 15 years old. Because she is his mate. Dad shouted the last part. John still wasn't having it. I couldn't care less. I couldn't be bothered. I am happy. Plus, it's not like she can get. Dad trailed off as he looked at Rosalind. She scowled. Neither can I. Rosalind spoke with a sad tone. John touched her hand to comfort her. What Dad meant to say is, you're right. It is a double standard. Rosalind smirked at John. Hey, now all you have to do is convince her to be Luna. The worst part is behind you. I can't wait to pass my knowledge forward. I'm so excited. Daddy spoke. He certainly looked and sounded very excited. Let's hope so. Daddy. I told him with a hopeful glance. I hope so too. Cause if she doesn't, Dad's gonna be alpha for a few more years. I don't see the goddess gracing me with a mate anytime soon. Not that I am in any rush now. Rosalind said as she touched John's hand lightly. He smiled. Goddess, no. I'm ready to retire. Maybe take Felix traveling. We've never even left the state. He's gay and has never been to Broadway. It's a crime. Dad joked. Sure. I'm gay. And you are what? An alien. Daddy snickered. We laughed. I missed laughter inside this house again. Despite everything. Hours later, I'm at Paul's house. We ate his birthday cake with his brother and mom. We sang happy birthday. It was nice. I knew his dad would be sad to have missed his son's 18th birthday, but I'm sure he's looking down at him with pride. I know I am. And yes, my sister did make a quick stop by his house to wish him a happy birthday. John stood outside. He refused to come in. It was a hilarious scene. But alas, she isn't his mate. Can you imagine the face crack of the century if I lost Alpha now that I've found my mate? Later on, we took a piece of the cake to his dad's burial ground. It was sad, but necessary. It was a nice Sunday all around. And yes, I told Paul about the date with my mate. He's my best friend. After all, I skipped some key details but told a great story. And I was beaming with joy as I related full first time with my mate. Honestly, despite all the surprises, I am indeed in heaven. Chapter 38, Back for Good, John. 2 months later, after the attack and my dad was finally returning home from the hospital. 2 whole months of barely seeing my mom and only watching my dad on a hospital bed. My poor mother was so thin from not eating properly. Her eyes looked like she hasn't had a proper night of sleep in weeks. My brother and I were living at the pack house with Uncle Felix, so that my mom could concentrate on Dad. And I also missed her so much. Matt too. Of course. Mireille getting the house ready for them to arrive. My mom would bring him back after her shift today and I was already back from school. So was my brother. We're just ready to see our dad. Truth is he nearly died. When my mom woke me and my brother up that day, I thought he died. And he nearly did. He had so many bruises. So many bites. It's a miracle he hadn't bled out in the woods. Because he's the beta. Protector of the pack. He was one of the first to go. Alongside the warriors and Aunt Denise. And there were a lot of wolves to fight. The pack warriors and members killed more than 1 wolves that day. In case you're wondering. That's much more than what most packs are consisted of. So it was a coordinated attack on our pack. Probably because we're the largest, strongest one of the entire East Coast. But you know what? Fuck them. We are Rutherford Falls pack. We don't back down. We don't recoil. We advance and we've killed every single last one of those motherfuckers. Excuse my language. I am angry. My dad is my hero and I haven't been around him for 2 whole months. I'm pissed. But it could be worse. At least he's alive. Thank God us for that. Hi, son. How are you doing? Dad said as Mom helped him trough the front door. I darted in his direction so fast. Hold him so tight. My mom had to peel me off of him. I missed him so much. Matt did the same as me. I'm good. Dad, how are you? I asked him as he sat down on the couch. You know, I could be better. But at least I'm alive. He replied and I could see how bruised he still was. It was heartbreaking. Thank Goddess. I prayed for you. I confessed. He smiled. Thanks. Son, how is your girlfriend? She's fine. You know, hanging in there. I croaked. I'm sure everything's gonna be all right. I could sense how broken he was. Even his voice was a bit different. Mom took him to their room to rest. But I'm so glad he was back at our house. I was radiant. The next day at school, I tell everyone the good news and they cheered. Especially Rosalind. She gave me the biggest hug and that's always nice. At lunch, they were still talking about Paul's birthday a month ago. Get new material. Folks, Sam, you should have seen John's face when Rosalind came to Paul's house on his birthday. It was like he was going to his death. It was hilarious. Snickered. Everyone laughed at me. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't find your mate yet. I was rooting for you. Don't kill me. John. Sam joked. Samantha. Uncle Felix talked to me for an hour after that joke you pulled at the pack house. Thank you very much. I'll have you know I never hit anyone except on warrior training. I spat at her. Furious. I'm sorry. I didn't think he was gonna make such a big deal out of it. She apologized. Wait. But if Paul doesn't find his mate, doesn't that mean he can't be beta? Sam questioned, looking serious all of a sudden. That isn't for another 5 months. Sam fuck. Paul shouted. Smacked. No, Sam. The rule only applies for the alpha. He can be beta, even if his mate doesn't appear by April. Explained, laughing. Bro, if my mate doesn't show up till the end of the year, I'm going to the moon to talk to the goddess in person. I need my mate. He snickered. He looked kinda desperate. Don't worry. She'll appear when you least expect. Like your. Trailed off. Like my dad. I know. Speaking of which, my mom got the settlement from my dad pack's insurance. She asked me if I wanted to move away. Paul told us and gasped. What? Yelled. He was gobsmacked. I told her, Mom, Mom, all my memories of Dad are here. Why would I move anywhere? Plus, I'm gonna be beta of the pack. Sorry, John, Paul said, and shot me an apologetic look. It's fine. I've accepted it. You're gonna be a great beta. I acknowledged it. Speaking of which, if you got alpha, who'd be your beta? Rosalind, Sam asked in a curious tone. You mean, other than this Nordic god? She said as she puts her arms around me. I melted. Oh yes. Of course he'd be your beta. But wouldn't that be tempting? Like I wouldn't want Team M's beta to be a hot girl like Georgia or Sarah. Especially if he dated them, Sam remarked. The girls looked flattered. Yes, I can totally see your point. But once I find my mate, he'll become the main focus of my attention. There's no temptation. I'll never look at John the same way again. She spoke and it dawns on her. On us. We looked disheartened. I'm sorry to have asked. I didn't mean to bring you down like this. Sam apologized. That girl is trouble. It's fine, Sam. John and I know what we've signed up for. This is nothing we don't already know. Rosalind downplayed it. She's right. We do know. All too well. It's funny. When I look at you, I think I don't know if I could involve myself in a relationship that I knew couldn't have a future. But at the same time, I look at your brother and think, where have you been all my life? She pondered and caressed Emmett's hair. I could see him melting under her hand. Does that mean you see a future for us? He asked her, expectantly. I mean, it's gonna be real bad if you don't come to New York with me. She said and we laughed. The whole table. In fact, Sam, no offense, but we have been raised from birth to be alpha. Emmett would never give that up. Not even for his mate. Rosalind smirked. I hate it when she's right, Emmett said, putting his hand on Sam's leg. I'm sorry, but I can't leave. He looked at her, pleadingly. Despite that awkward lunch break, the rest of the week was a breeze. The more Sam learned about her ways, the less awkward questions she asked. Thank goddess. I'm starting to think she's a living reincarnation of my mom. Soon enough, she'll be talking about Emmett's giant whatever. Anyway, Saturday is the full moon and for the first time since the attack, the ceremony will be happening again. You never know how much you miss something until you're forced to be without. It's Friday night and we are having dinner at the pack house. My parents and Matt too. So, Daphne, I hear you're taking some time off from work. Is it true? Uncle Dan asked her. Yes, it is. I've got to take care of this idiot. She snickered and touched my dad's head. Plus, I haven't seen my kids in a while. I need to be with them before some skank takes my John away. Mom joked. I think so. Not sure. Rosalind cried out. I yelled Mom. Oh, Rosalind, I didn't mean you. I meant. I know what you meant. Aunt Daph. Rosalind spoke with a weak smile. We all knew what she meant by that. Nate, are you okay? I mean, all things considered. Uncle then asked him. My dad put his fork down, cleaned his mouth with a napkin and said, I'm great. Actually, I'd like to ask your permission to speak at tomorrow's ceremony. I know. Granted. Uncle then interrupted him. He raised a glass. And so did everyone. To my brother and sister, the best damn beta and delta this pack has ever had. Uncle Dan celebrated. Aunt Denise also was released from the hospital. She looked pretty banged up. But she could probably still take me down. Not even joking. Thanks. Big brother. I appreciate it. Once I found out about Damon, I was so hurt I almost wanted to die. But I couldn't. I just can't let them win. Plus, someone needs to teach the snuggly heads how to fight. Aunt Denise snickered, as she pointed at Ross. And me. I know as our top warrior you got the worst end of the stick. Someone told me Denise took out for wolves before she was down. That's my sister for you. Uncle Dan spoke with pride. I could tell he's very emotional. As we all were. I would have taken 5. But the 5th one caught me by surprise. She smirked. Her mate was also looking at her proudly. Changing the subject from heroes to Mission Impossible. How is your mate, son? Uncle Dan joked. He's on fire tonight. We laughed, but Dad and Aunt Denise weren't caught up on the runaway Luna issue. She's fine, Dad. I think she's in love with me, and is only waiting for me to say it first. Emmett spoke confidently. Yeah, but that's not exactly what Dad asked. What he really wants to know is if we're going to have a Luna or if you'll have to borrow Daddy. Rosalind joked. Emmett scowled. EWL gross. Why would you say that? Emmett looked like he was about to puke in the middle of dinner. I didn't mean it like that. Rosalind looked queasy. Someone update me. What happened with his mate? Dad asked. Curiously, I whispered to him the whole story of the last 2 months. I mean, the bullet points. Son, take it from me. If ever I can give you one advice is this: apply for New York colleges. I mean it. Because the last thing you want is to be far away from your mate. Apart from Denise, I'm the only one who can tell you it sucks. I've nearly abdicated being beta. Dad stated. Seriously, I can't even tell you how many times your dad had to talk me off the ledge when F was at university. I spent so much money traveling back and forth that I almost went broke, especially in the first year. Dad continued. He knew what he was talking indeed. Uncle Tony nodded along as he went trough the exact same thing. And that's just the first degree. Dad had to go through 2 degrees in a residency. Let's just say I'm glad Mom and Felix were around to take care of John. If not, I'd put the baby in the backseat of my car if I had to. Just to see my mate, he concluded in a somber tone. I know, Uncle, and you're right. I will. Not that I have that much of a chance to get him, but I'll apply. You never know. EMM pondered, worriedly. Plus, no one have on you the same card your dad had on me. Every time I told him I was leaving the pack, your dad would say, "What would your father say?" His sacrifice was in vain. It was brutal, but it worked. Dad joked. Sort of. Not really. We left mildly uncomfortable. The next day was the full moon ceremony. It will be Sam's first one as Emmett invited her along. All the remaining pack members came together to celebrate the moon goddess like we do every month but couldn't for the past 2. The compound was packed with families from all around town. It was nice. My dad took to the microphone on the podium. Good evening. Rutherford Falls Pack and welcome to a special full moon ceremony. I'm Beta Underwood, and I asked my brother's permission to speak to you tonight. He announced. But first I'd like for us to take a moment of silence for the fallen heroes that sacrificed their lives so that we can be here today. There was a moment of silence respected. Now, I'd like to ask you all to give a round of applause to my sister. The best Delta this pack has ever had. He stated, and they clapped for her, who looked proud from the back of the podium. As most of you know, I just got back from the hospital where I spent 2 months recuperating from the attack that nearly cost the lives of my brother and sister. But it did cost the life of our little brother Damon Huntington. May the goddess keep him. The crowd applauded. But the reason I wanted to speak tonight is this. The last time an attack like this happened, I lost both my parents. As most of you know the story, I was crushed to lose them and was fortunate enough to being able to be raised by the Huntingtons, who became my family. I never quite understood their sacrifice until I had a family of my own. As a family man, my main goal is to protect and keep them safe, as I'm sure most here can relate. The crowd cheered. So once the attack happened, that's all I could think about. Keep my family safe. That's why we fought like hell, so that the biggest assault on our way of life didn't reach our families. Because if they got here, then the entire town would be next and none of you would be safe. Everybody gasps because they know it's the truth. I dream about seeing my children grow older, knowing who's gonna be my son's mate, having grandbabies to spoil like so many of us. But if I died on the woods so that my children were safe, that's a sacrifice I was prepared for. That's a sacrifice so many warriors and pack members like my little brother did so that their children would survive and remain safe. They applauded. Loudly. So my pledge when I took over as Beta more than 18 years ago remains the same. I'll keep us safe, no matter the cost. And to our enemies I say this, we are the largest, strongest pack of the entire East Coast. We do not falter. We do not recoil. We do not back down. We advance, and if you move against us, you'll face the full mighty of our force and you will lose. He spoke with such conviction. I was shook. The crowd went wild. The cheer and applause was so loud it took 10 minutes to get them down. We are Rutherford Falls Pack. We've been here for 120 years. And we'll continue to be here for 1 year more. Dad shouted. The crowd applauded once more. Now, the outfit challenges are suspended due to extraordinary circumstances, as I'm sure you can all understand. My brother too almost lost his life defending the pack. Let the full moon ceremony begin. Enjoy it. Dad concluded. Everyone applauded him. Standing. Also, no one has challenged Alpha Huntington, my uncle, for like a decade. Damn, that's some speech. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience or podium. It's not because he's my dad, but damn. He's good. I missed him so very much. And I'm so glad he's home now. Hopefully back for good. Chapter 39, I Surrender Sam. Have you ever met a guy who spoke all the right words, said all the right things just to get you to sleep with him? But once you did, you found out his true colors. Well, that's not the case with Emmett. I may have some regrets in my 17 years. I regret not having the courage to start my transition earlier. I regret I didn't fight hard enough for hormone replacement therapy. And yes, there are some guys that I wish I've never even heard of. To be honest, but if there's one thing I don't regret, is giving a chance to Emmett Huntington. And I'm not saying it just because of the amazing night we spent a month ago at his house. But damn, that was great. But no, he is great. He is so attentive. Makes me feel seen, appreciated, and yes, maybe even loved. He's the Prince Charming that I never thought existed for someone like me. At least, not at this time anyway. I hate to admit it, but it's getting more and more difficult to dream about New York without him by my side. I know I've said no man could ever persuade me to stay here, and I still believe that. But he's making a pretty good case for himself. Damn, that boy is good. Can you believe he brought me flowers on Monday after I slept with him? Yes, I said after. He wanted to signal that I took his flowers, so he gave me some. Corny. I know, but so romantic. We've been going strong ever since that. Yes, we do get comments and snarky remarks here and there, but we try our best to ignore them. I'm sure it's worse for Ian, especially since he has such a macho war about him. However, he doesn't let it get to him. Not even the toxic masculinity some guys project on him. I get the overwhelming feeling no one in the school would ever think to see him with me. That's a feeling I also shared in the beginning. But that was then. This is now. To me, he's just DMM. The guy who isn't afraid to take my hands or kiss me whenever we are. I mean, not in class, guys, you know. Boundaries. But you get my point. And yes, it's worse when we're both in the locker room. As you can imagine. The first gym class we faced after he first kissed me, there were a lot of comments calling him gay. I was mortified. Sure, no one picked a fight with the captain of the wrestling team, but there was plenty of abuse. Do you know what he did in face of all those fag he heard? He walked up to me, in the middle of the locker room full of male students, while he's in underwear, and kissed me. Yes, I said he kissed me on the lips right in front of all them. Well, I was only in towel. I might add. Then, after that full moon ceremony, wow, what an event. Good food, good drinks, bonfire. All his family and friends were present. It was awesome. Plus, we managed to sneak into his room and fool around a bit. We didn't have time for all the way, but we did have fun. Now we're facing our first real holiday apart. Thanksgiving. But not before we enjoy ourselves some more. I think I love you, I said to him as we're having lunch. He gasped. The whole table stopped eating and looked at me gobsmacked. I'm in love with you, I continued. I love you too, he replied, looking at me affectionately. I melted. We kissed AWN. The girls melted. Even Rosalind was looking at me with hearts in her eyes. See what you're missing. Sizem snickered. I love her. U.S. John Bart. He was livid. I know. John. I just meant. I know what you meant. Stop diminishing us just because you finally found someone who puts up with you. John cut him off. He looked furious. Damn. John. Tell him. Sarah teased. I'm just so sick and tired of everyone taking a dig at us or making a joke at our expense. This isn't a joke to me. I may lose her tomorrow to some small penis individual, but that doesn't mean I need to be reminded of every 5 seconds. We get it. We know. Move on. John lectured. We're all in awe of him. Rosalind looked at him so proudly. So in love. She kissed him. You know what? John, you certainly earned my respect. Not that you didn't have it before, but for my part, you are soulmates. Respect. I told him and I saw him smile. I'm sorry. John, you're right. I didn't see what my actions were causing you. And you do have my respect also. Apologized in a sincere tone. Both Rosalind and John were shocked to hear the words coming out of him. Sam, do you know how I know that you're my brother's mate? Rosalind spoke to me in a serious tone. I just looked at her confused. This happened. She continued and I got it. And it said mates make their partners better. Fuck. The next day, we're making out at the school front gate before we take the bus. We just stood there while hundreds of students passed us by, with not a care in the world. And then when we did her a transphobic comment, that's when he kissed me even harder. We were so confident around each other after that full moon night, and I don't mean the one with the ceremony. It was great. See you after Thanksgiving. See you. Call me, he said as he rushed to take his bus before it leaves. I confess I missed him so much already through a 4-day holiday. How am I supposed to cope through college? And if, like he said, the feeling won't go away, how the fuck am I supposed to be happy in New York without him? I don't mind being single. I was prepared for it in a way. But now that I had something so good to lose, it was throwing me in a loop. Fuck. When we first saw each other on Monday after Thanksgiving, we kissed for 5 minutes just to quench our thirst for one another. This is evolving much faster than I've anticipated. The following Saturday, he went to my house again to have dinner with me and my family. My dad grilled him again. Of course. But by now I was so confident in him that I wasn't worried. And that has never happened. I've never even brought a boy home before. Not one I could introduce to my parents. Anyway, and he knocked it out of the park. Again, my dad liked him so much he even invited Emmett to the police station. He never invited me to go to his job. See what I'm dealing with. December. I'm back at his parents' for dinner again. It's Saturday evening. John is also here. Actually, I think he dinners here every Saturday with his girl. Especially since they can leave the compound together alone. So Felix, what does Aluna do? I asked him and he's surprised by my question. Well, for starters, you make sure this giant house is running well. You oversee the kitchen staff, maids, the entire household. You also have to restock the food as you're in charge of the house expenses. You keep everything and everyone running smoothly, he explained, smiling. And then, you visit the pack ladies on occasion, see if anyone needs anything. For example, the pregnant ones, the newly mated, especially if they don't have a family here, like Paul's mom, for instance, whose husband unfortunately passed away. He continued, that's basically it. And occasionally voice your opinion on alpha matters. He concluded, occasionally, his husband said with wide eyes in a sarcastic tone. Everyone laughed but Felix. See, a pack is a well-oiled machine that runs cause everyone knows what they're supposed to do. The alpha takes care of the entire pack. But it's mostly bureaucratic and ceremonial. The beta is the protector. He runs the warriors, security and safety issues, and stand in for the alpha when he's away. And the delta leads and trains all the warriors. Felix stated why. Are you thinking of staying? He asked me with a hopeful tone. I'm thinking I might as well learn the Luna business until I decide. That is, of course, if it's all right with you, I replied, humbly. I could see his eyes light up and he opened a big smile. But not nearly as big as Emmett's. He was radiant. Yes, it would be my pleasure. Emmett has my number. Text me your schedule and we'll work something out, he said with a grin. I smiled back at him and nodded. Man, this goddess is no joke. She's a miracle worker. John snickered as he took a sip of his water. I'm telling you, she knows who she pairs. You'll see it when. Daniel starts but gets interrupted. Dad, we don't talk about their mating anymore out of respect for Rosalind and John's relationship. Please respect that. Emmett said, and everybody was floored. No more than John and Rosalind. Of course. Sam, please. You have to stay. My brother needs you. I need you. She reaches out to take my hand and look at me pleadingly. I promise I'll give it some thought. Okay, I replied, looking at them. That's all I can ask for. Emmett said, looking at me affectionately. Sam, I'd kiss you on the cheek right now if I didn't think EMM would bite my head off. John snickered. Wait. What? I'll tell you right now I don't do jealous boyfriends. I just asked EMM with attitude. John's joking. Sam mostly. EMM smirked. It was a really nice night. After dinner, we walked and kissed for a while. Maybe there was some grabbing involved, but not much else. As the time went by, I started taking Luna classes with Felix. He was such a sweetheart, such a gentle soul. I could see why EMM is so well-mannered. He's a great Luna, especially since he's the first male Luna of the pack. Ever. Now, I'm on the edge of 18, just counting out the days in my head, waiting to finally start my hormone replacement therapy legally. So, Sam, is there gonna be a party? Rosalind asked me as we ate. We're at school. On lunch break. Same people. Same table as always. No, there isn't. Just a small thing with my family and DMM. Nothing much. I told her and see her face excited for me. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. She replied. I said thanks. When do you turn 18? Sambal asked. In a week. Paul. I'm so excited. Good for you, Sam. I hope you start your medicine as soon as possible. And if you need any help, John's mom is a doctor and so is his grandma. Paul offered. I was so appreciative. He's right. John agreed. My mom is here for you if you need her. He smiled at me. Thanks, guys, that my mom is helping me. She's a doctor, as you know. But I do appreciate the support. I mean it, I said as my eyes twinkle with happiness. I confess I did not expect to find such support in this town. We continued eating quietly until, are you hearing this? Us. Sarah commented. That I don't hear anything. I am. And I call smell it too, which is always nice. Rosalind snickered. But I'm still lost. I'm sorry. Ross, there's nothing I can do about it. John apologized. To what? Okay, is someone going to catch me up or am I going crazy cause I can't hear anything? So here's a fun fact in case you never read the first book. And you really should. Despite the fact that I'm not on it. Wasn't born yet. The fact is, werewolves can hear about half a mile in any direction. And that is not to say what distant hear when shifted into wolf. Not only that, but they can also smell really well. And they can sense emotions like fear and sexual arousal. Anyway, that's why all the bedrooms in the entire compound are soundproof, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to rest. Also, it helps not listen to your parents doing night activities. Gross. You see these girls over there? And points at another table full of sophomore girls. 3 of them have a school project with John and are saying what they want to do with him when they do the project. In details. He looked a little flushed. All 3 of them. I nearly shouted yes, but not at the same time. Rosalind snickered. John was so embarrassed he was pinkish. I gasped. I don't want to hear what people want to do with my boyfriend. Rosalind, you're so cool about it. I can't let it, gobsnapped. Oh, I'm not cool at all. But I can't have them know I know. Otherwise, they'll ask how I know. But I would like to go over there and scratch their pretty faces. She looked really pissed. John, it sucks that you're not in the same class as we. I'm sorry. Trust me? I know. It does. But I can't escape the schoolwork and I can't do it with anyone here so. He spoke, down on himself. My boyfriend is very hot. But if I had your boyfriend, I'd be worried night and day. I mean, John looks like he came from Osgard. I told her with a cheeky smile. Emmett glared at me. John looked even more pink. I know. Right. At least you have the bond. I only have trust in my Nordic god. She snickered. And you can trust me. Ross. I promise you. John pledged with intense eyes. I know. John. I'm just making a point. She stated as she caressed his hair. He had long blonde hair straight out of a catalog or something. It would be distracting if I weren't so into and it wanted to take me back to the falls for my birthday. But since we had the thing with my family, we managed a morning date the following Saturday. When I turned 18, it was a great view. He brought the picnic basket again and a towel to equip us to enjoy it like the time he told me I was his soulmate. Plus, I owed him some time in the actual waterfalls, so he actually told me to bring a swimsuit, even though it's winter. Or I could bathe naked, whatever I was comfortable with. So he said, let's go with not naked. So we enjoyed ourselves. We ate some delicious food the cook have prepared for us. We talked some more a lot. It seemed like we never ran out of topics to speak of. It's amazing. And yes, he did enter the waterfall naked like he said he'd done so many times before. Not me, but he didn't mind it at all. He just wanted me to be comfortable and enjoy the water. Yes, the December temperature didn't help matters much, but every time I got cold he hugged me and I got warmer. We really enjoyed our time alone. And I mean really. Why should his sister have all the fun here? Am I right? Okay, I give up. I can't help it. I can't resist it. Let's defer the college if I get accepted and be Alpha and Luna together. I want New York, but I want him so very much more. I love him. Moon goddess. You won. I surrender. Thank you all for joining me in the wild world of Wild Werewolf. I hope you had an amazing time. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments and likes, and come back for more wild adventures. See you next time.